Good evening and welcome to Talking Songs with me, Roland Jones. How are we all doing out there today? Is it winter yet? Yes, it is winter. It is indeed. It was -1 when I was walking yesterday morning. It was extremely unpleasant. They say it's bracing. I think it's just bloody cold. But apart from that, things are heading Christmaswards, as they say. So I'm going to start off with a tune now before I introduce my guest, and this is called That's How I Feel. Walking by the water, walking hand in hand, feels so very, very good. I just can't understand how doing nothing special, doing nothing at all, can make me laugh and make me smile. That's how I feel. That's how good I feel. That's how I feel. That's how good I feel. Fine food and the best champagne, or just watching TV, exotic place or right at home, it's all the same to me. 'Cause you and me make more than two, or maybe just a perfect one. Life is good and love is good, it's all so much fun. That's how I feel. That's how good I feel. That's how I feel. That's how good I feel. Minutes last forever, the days disappear overnight. A year just seems like nothing, but every second feels right. 'Cause you make up the rest of me, with you I feel complete. I never ever realized that life could be so sweet. That's how I feel. That's how good I feel. That's how I feel. That's how good I feel. I enjoy playing bossa nova stuff, I have to say. So, my guest for this evening, Mr. Robin Mukherjee. And where are you, Robin? Speak to me, speak to me, speak to me. There you are.
Hello.
Good evening, Mr. M. How are you doing?
Very well. How are you?
All right. A bit cold in the morning. It's going for what? But got the heating on today, so I'm. I can't stand the cold at the moment. I don't know what's the matter with me. Don't know what's happening to me. So.
I don't mind if the sun's out.
Yes, that's true. Actually, I think it's the same as it. It's when it's crisp. I don't mind it crisp, as they say.
What flavour?
Oh, only cheese and onion. There is no other flavour. I mean, it does gall me now that you can't even buy cheese and onion. It's finest homegrown cheddar with, balsamic vinegar from. It's cheese and onion. Anyway, enough of this talk of food. Robin, you and music. When did it all start off?
Oh, probably about 4 years old, listening to the Seekers in the back of my mum and dad's car and loving that stuff.
The Seekers, wow!
Yeah,
I forgot about the Seekers.
Yeah, they played one of their early albums all the time when I was about infant age.
Right.
I specifically remember hearing tracks like 500 Miles and Lemon Tree, and
Yeah.
they stuck with me. And I didn't really know why they stuck with me. They just did, and I still got a bit of a soft spot for them. Really, I just love that stuff.
I'd forgotten all about the Seekers as well. Gosh,
Yeah,
I'm trying to think what she was called.
Judith Durham.
Judith Durham. Gosh, a 12-pointer there. Well done, Mr. M. I'm
Nice.
impressed. Yeah. So when did you start playing?
Well, I started learning guitar at about 11 at
Right.
school. To be honest, mostly because lots of other people were, and I thought I'll do that as well. It was either take up guitar or play football, and I was crap at football, still am. So I thought, well, I better do the other thing, which is that. I mean, I did also quite like the Beatles, so that helped.
It does.
Um,
Yeah.
so I learned guitar just with general school lessons, and then took up the bass because I wanted to join a school band, which was. I didn't. I eventually got kicked out of that band, which was actually probably quite a good thing because they were crap. Anyway, so I took up the bass and then took more of an interest in it when kind of, I guess I went through that teenage period in the 90s of just having far too much time in the world and not many friends, and so I spent my time playing guitar and listening to music. It was great.
I just wondering when you said that about not being crap at football, and I just wonder how much correlation there is between people taking up musical instruments and being bad at sport. Although I have to say, my first band that I was in at school, yeah, we were 50-50. The drummer was completely inept when it came to sport, and the other two were extremely good rugby players. So, but then maybe that's just about growing up in Wales. Who knows? So, when did you start writing?
I first started writing at probably about 16, 17, just instrumental pieces at that point. That's all I was really into.
Right.
And I wrote my first song at 17, just around the point when my dad passed away.
All right.
And wrote a song about that. I can still remember how it goes and how to play it, but I'm not going to because it's appalling. But that was my first attempt at songwriting.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think it's actually right. I think it's actually okay as far as songs go, considering the age I was when I wrote it. I think if I played it now at my age and said this is something I've written, it'll be quite appalling. But I think I think a lot of these things are quite dependent on who it is and what stage of life they're at.
Yeah.
And looking back, I think for a 17-year-old, I did quite well.
I think that's a good piece of rationalisation. I like that.
I think if it's I think if I came out with something like that now, I'd be hugely disappointed in myself. I'd probably give away my guitars and that's it. Time to call it a day. But I think for a first attempt at 17, when you can hardly play, I mean, I used to finger pick with just these two fingers, so I couldn't even pick properly either. So it was all that kind of stuff, which is completely the wrong way to go about things. But didn't know any better at the time.
But didn't you say to me once that weren't you heavily into like John Renbourn and people like that?
Yeah, so that's really what developed my interest in writing songs, because I wrote a few songs over that first initial period, but then I got so bored of it because it was also strummy, kind of
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, and I just found it also samey and boring. And I got reintroduced to Ralph McTell when I was about 18, because I used to listen to that stuff when I was little. And then I found a guitar playing extraordinary, and I still do. And then my uncle, who I was quite close to, he was a big musician. Played with loads of people in the Sixers and whatnot. But once he realised I was taking up finger picking at into that, he took a lot of interest in me and
Right.
kind of took me under his wing a bit and introduced me to all these people, John Renbourn being one of them.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to play like that, and that's what kind of got me into songwriting. So I decided that I wanted to learn the very basics of finger picking before even attempting to write songs, out of fear of it being boring, contrived, and derivative.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. So
I think he's a pretty damn good reference point, Renbourn, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's quite a high bar to set for oneself, and it took me 20 years to learn my first piece. Because I only learned my first Renbourn piece last year, and it's taken me that long. It's not easy stuff.
I can remember being at school because, when I was at school, people would be carrying vinyl around, and at that time, it was like the first Leonard Cohen album, and it was Dylan albums and the Eric Clapton Beano album, but I was the only one carrying around a copy of Sir John Allot's Music Thingy Annie Green Night by John
brilliant.
Renbourn.
That's such a good album as well.
It is. It's brilliant.
The good thing about the whole coolness of stuff is that you can buy these things second hand in charity shops now about 50p. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's funny that it's never occurred to me before, but you know, in the late 60s and the early 70s, you actually did, you know, wear your loyalty on your sleeve, because it wasn't as if you had like playlists on your iPhone. You were actually carrying albums with you, and it wasn't as if you've got books on your Kindle. You'd actually have a copy of Lord of the Rings, God forbid, tacked under your arm. You know, so it was a bit more demonstrable in those days. But interesting. Okay, then let's hear a tune. Then let's hear a Mukherjee masterpiece.
Well, when I write one, I'll let you know. But when it comes to songwriting, it's part. I was saying earlier that it's like trying to get blood out of a stone, and the reason for that is because I think the singer's called Al Clark. Is it Al Clark? Year of the Cat? Is that his name? I think it's Al Clark, but
no. What's his name?
I know it's something. It's something Clark anyway. But I read an interview with him, and he was talking about how banal he finds it to write songs about subject matters which have already been written about, like things you know, baby, you've done me wrong, or whatever, like kind of you know.
Al Stewart, was it?
Al Stewart, that's the one, yeah. And I kind of agree with him on that. So I'm always trying to find, I guess, subject matters or rhetorics or even points of view that aren't necessarily always in song. So this is a driving song, which usually driving songs are about California and palm trees and beaches. And this one's about traffic, pollution, congestion, and
I knew I could depend on you.
True story as well. It's a true story. It's called Regent Road. You know Regent Road in Manchester?
Yeah. Right. Okay.
It's got a song named after it, and this is it. Slowing down, a shattered yawn, this dismal dawn, a swollen longing for change, suppressed by white van rage. Someone take me far from here, banish all my dread and fear that keep me churning, wasted caffeine-loaded days, eyelids drooping in the haze, as I keep on driving Regent Road every day. This shirt and tie, they serve to hide an aching cry inside for freedom. This lanyard is restraining an employer's bitch in training. Someone take me far from here, banish all my dread and fear that keep me churning, wasted caffeine-loaded days, eyelids drooping in the haze, as I keep on driving Regent Road each and every day. as I keep on driving Regent Road each and every day. Ooh.
Nice one. I like it. I like the
car crash at the end there, but hey, it's alive.
well, it's on a road. It must be a car crash. No, I like the move from the major to the minor in it as well. That's
cheers.
yeah, it works well. That. So yes, tales of everyday stuff. I think it's I'm all for everyday stuff personally.
Yeah, there's beauty in the mundane. I think if it leads to a, I don't know, if it leads to something, it's good.
It leads to something. I think that's sufficient, really, isn't it? Yeah. I have to say, I always wanted to be able to draw and to sort of reproduce things, and I did. A friend dragged me to an art class, and I started doing it, and I still do. I don't do as much as I used to 10 years ago, but I discovered that what I liked drawing was the mundane. So, when we lived in Italy, we'd be sitting in, I don't know, Montepulciano or somewhere like that, and I'd be drawing the ashtray on the table. And because big things I can't do, I tend to concentrate on the mundane in that. So I think it's probably
I think they call it still life, don't they?
Yes, yeah. Well, in Italian, actually, they call it dead life.
Okay.
Yeah, which is even worse. I think but in many cases it is right. Hang on there, Eddie's just saying, great opening line for a song, 5 miles an hour and slowing down.
It was the opening to my day. Every single day, Monday to Friday, it was hell.
Yeah.
And it was going to a job which I absolutely hated. I was deeply miserable there, and so much so, the highlight of every day was being able to scratch my back on the frame of a door that I used to lean against every morning before the kids came in. That was the best part of every day.
Like Barloo the bear sort of thing. That one of them, was it? Yeah. Did you ever have to do an appraisal where they said, "What's the best part of your job?" And you can say, "Scratching me back against the door." That would have been great. I
did. Yeah, I mean, they kind of gave me an exit interview when I left, and it was a nice opportunity to get creative with telling them what you think without telling them what you actually think.
Without using the word bollocks at all. Yes, I like it. So, okay, you say getting blood out of a stone for you writing songs.
Say that again, sorry?
You were saying before you said it's trying to get blood out of a stone to get your songs to life. To market. Do they come from I mean, you mentioned that as obviously, if you were doing that drive every morning and every night, presumably.
Well, that song came from. I actually wrote that during a staff meeting where we were all being told how shit we are at our jobs by our line manager, who was in the nicest possible way. I don't want to be deflammatory about somebody. In the nicest possible way. She is a waste of space. I think in hindsight, generally there's some personality disorder going on there, not verging on narcissism, sociopathic behaviours. Anyway, but
any of those things.
Whatever. Anyway, it was during a staff meeting, and we've all been told how crap we are. And I thought, I've driven here for 45 minutes stuck in traffic to basically be told how crap we all are and question my life choices. And I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow. When did this become normal? So whilst taking notes in this meeting, I was actually just writing these words out. Just a coping mechanism.
Probably 40 minutes well spent. Because the songs lasted longer than the job did, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a video of it on YouTube now. I'm driving. I'm in the video. I'm driving down Regent Road in my work attire.
Was that the name of the album? I can't remember. Was it?
Yeah, it was named after Regent Road.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
Oh, that's pretty good. Abbey Road, Regent.
Felt like the right thing to do. I mean, Regent Road, Abbey Road. I mean, I know which one I prefer to listen to, and it's definitely the former. I know you shouldn't say that about your own songs, but you know, when it comes to the Beatles, it's hands down this.
So, okay, what other things have inspired you to write songs then?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, okay. It's hard to say. I mean, travel has done, seeing other parts of the world. I mean, most recently, I guess. I mean, the most recent song I've written, which I'm not going to do now because it's not quite at a point where I can play it all the way through yet, that's just about someone else's experiences, which are quite dark. And again, I just thought that needs to be in written form in some way as a song because it's it's about a friend of mine who's going through a really, really horrendous time down in London. And when I met up with him, and the way he was talking about it with such brutal honesty, but also from such a healthy place where he was in such acceptance. And I thought the two things coupled were quite poetic, but also he was talking about how his mindset a few months ago, where he was just so pessimistic and doing all the wrong things that one does when they go into self-destruction mode, you could say.
Yeah.
And I thought that mindset is also quite interesting to get into because no one really talks about that. So
that's interesting. I look forward to hearing that one then. Is that going to be on the forthcoming album? You're saying you reckon you write one every 10 years?
Well, only going by the first because the first came out in 2010, second in 2020. So it seems to be a once decade thing. And that's the beauty of not relying on music for a job. You can just do things whenever you want, and
or not.
Or not. Yeah, it's quite nice, really.
Do you enjoy? I mean, when you perform, because we've met through you performing, but is that the major thing for you, performing your own stuff, or is it do you just enjoy the playing anyway?
I mean, I love playing anyway, but I love playing my own stuff. But I just love performing. It's brilliant. And certainly not in a kind of show-offy way because I don't, I'm not bothered about myself, but I really like the kind of connection that you get when you perform. I love I feel like it brings out a side of myself which otherwise wouldn't ever come out. And I mean, judging by, I did a gig at the King's Arms in Salford for my album launch, and that was great. That just felt really wholesome. Loved it, and it kind of for me, it's just a reaffirmation of everything that I love about playing and performing and all of that.
That sounds good. Yeah, but you've been playing bass as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I have played for other people on that. Again, I mean, I have a bass, I can play it, and I love playing that as well. I'm certainly not the best bass player in the world, but I can get by, and people are else to play for them. And I think what happens is people else to play for them, and then they realise that there's actually someone better. It's actually often that.
I don't know what to say to that.
I'm not sure that. I think that's what happened. I'm never actually. Yeah, I'm being slightly facetious there and slightly tongue in cheek, but
that's all right.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really been in a band as a bass player, but I have played 4 people and 4 bands. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Didn't you do some gigs in Belgium with Vincent?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I took my bass out there and did that. That was good fun.
Yeah.
That was 10. I think we were there for 10 days. Playing in rowdy bars around the Antwerp region of Belgium.
Right.
Which is good. Good fun.
Yeah. Excellent. No language barrier there, of course, because everybody speaks English better than we do.
They seem to, yeah.
Terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Next song then. What have you got lined up for us next?
I mean, it could be. I mean, you can choose here really. So I've got one which picks up on the mundane, I suppose, to create a greater point. So this is a new one.
You're right.
And it's got a very mundane title. It's called Dust Upon the Skirting Boards. So see what you think of this. See if you can pick up what the theme of this is. What the theme of this song is. It's not actually about dust. It's not about skirting boards either. But it's called Dust Upon the Skirting Boards, and it goes like this. This vibrant leafy suburb, I've spent a jolly hour. It's faded into memories of a time not half as sad. These streets I call my borough. I've walked away the years. They've been mockingly thorough in awakening my fear. There's no one here. This solitude's my closest friend, and without it, like dust upon the skirting board, this unwashed laundry pile, this flavor of abandonment has an aftertaste of there's no one here. This solitude's my closest friend, and without it, there's no one here. This solitude's my closest friend, and without end, a tightened fist around my skull, with gaps between the fingers to see on lonesome souls. These trendy buggers linger far away from this old pro.
Nice. So what inspired that then? Where did that come from?
I wrote it very, very recently, but it's the thought process of it and the words that these came from. I got back from work about 2 years ago on a Friday night, and basically did have absolutely nothing to do and no plans for the weekend, and felt a bit lonely. And that's where that came from. I was thinking about a time when I used to know loads of people around the area that I live in, and not so much now, which isn't a problem. It's fine. I've got a bit older and quite like staying in, to be honest, and circumstances have changed. But I remember at that point, I'm on various WhatsApp groups and seeing what people are up to or whatnot, and or at least knowing that friends were out and I hadn't been invited and stuff like that, and I thought, well, okay, I see another song coming along.
Yeah, we've all been through that one. Where do you live now, whether I'm ever interested?
West Didsbury.
Oh, right, okay.
So just along the road from Wine and Wallet, where you like to frequent.
Where I was last night, in fact.
Were you there last night? Oh, but I've come down if I know.
Well, that was Sunday night. Sunday night.
Oh, really?
I was there. Yeah.
You have to let me know next time.
Yeah, it's a nice. I lived around that area for a long, long time. Yeah, but it's quite interesting, isn't it? If you lived in London, there's quite a different experience living in London to living in Manchester, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I have friends who've lived in London who not only didn't know their next door neighbours, didn't know the neighbours in the same house. Even though they were separate flats, they didn't know the people who lived upstairs. And I remember one friend of mine who worked in London, and he said that after a Friday night, he quite often spent a weekend without seeing anybody.
Yeah.
Because he'd go for a drink with his mates from work around where they worked in the city. And then he'd go home. Then he'd spend the rest of the weekend. Yeah. Then he'd go home and then go back to work on a Monday and not having. God Almighty, it just sounds horrendous. I don't think West Didsbury's like that.
No, it's not really. I mean, there seems to be a fair bit more going on in terms of at least community stuff, which is nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
I'm just a bit of an old curmudgeon and don't take part in any of it.
That's probably why you weren't invited to any of those WhatsApp groups. So, in terms of music now, we talked before about what you used to listen to. What do you listen to these days?
Oh, blimey. I mean, I've been listening to a lot of Ralph McTell, believe it or not, still. Going to see him on Thursday, in fact, playing in New Brighton.
I was going to say he's been up here recently, and wasn't he playing in Manchester recently?
He played in the Lowry last week. Yeah, I was at that as well. I'm following him.
I think that's.
I mean, I've got to be honest with listening to stuff. I've reached that point in life now where I listen to stuff that I know. So,
yeah.
the most recent thing I listened to that even came out this year was Villagers, because they're absolutely, I really like them. They're brilliant. Their lyrics are absolutely fantastic. And as a live act, they're fantastic. I went to see them last month, I think it was. And that's probably the most, in terms of recent stuff, I'd probably say them. But I mean, I was at a gig on Saturday, and it was to see a chap called Martin Rossiter, who used to be a singer of a band called Gene way back in the 90s. And he was doing a farewell gig, and so I've been re-listening to a lot of Gene stuff, and I used to love that stuff when I was younger. And I went to see them about 15 times, and they were, very very much a cult band.
About 15 times.
Yeah, about that.
That's
very much a cult band.
Very precise number, that.
Yeah. So I went to see him, and again, the lyrics that Martin Rossiter writes he's retired now. And it's so poignant, especially for a band in the 90s that was kind of wrongly put together with the likes of all the Britpop crowd.
Yeah.
Because they're so kind of emotionally on point and about, I guess, about the human frailties and conditions, and singing a lot about his own experience of depression and stuff, which I think is quite a brave thing to do as a kind of young pop band amongst the lads and all the Britpop stuff. And seeing the gig on Saturday kind of reinforced that. Actually, he's an incredibly brave lyricist and quite good, but he also does satire to a T as well, because he's got a song called "I Must Be Jesus," which I think is just the title alone is fantastic. And he did one. He does one which you think is going to be a love song, because it's all a nice little piano ballad. With the lyrics, the song's called "My Heart's Designed for Pumping Blood," which is a bit of a giveaway. But it's got a fantastic lyric: "If my heart skips a beat, I'll seek medical help," which I think is brilliant.
I like it. Martin Rossiter, right? I shall check that out. I'll check that out. It's quite interesting, though, you what you said there about you listen to stuff that you're familiar with. And I remember reading some time ago, and I think it was research based on something that Spotify had done, and they were saying that it appears that most people's musical taste stops changing rapidly when they reach 33.
Yeah, well, I'm 39 now, so I think that happened quite a while ago.
There you go. So, well, but it fits into the 30s gap, doesn't it? It didn't
Yeah,
say
I
it
suppose it does, yeah.
stops. It said the rapid changes of saying, oh yeah, when
Mm.
in like when I was at school, it was like, are you a mod or a rocker sort of thing? Did you like the
Yeah,
Who or did you like the Beatles? That type of
yeah.
ridiculous dichotomy. But yeah, so that people tend to listen to things they like.
Mm.
I think the other thing that often strikes me is that how because because of the whole Spotify thing and streaming is that
Yeah.
it's a different. It's not like going to a rack of CDs or albums and saying, "Oh, what shall I?" Flicking along them and thinking, "What shall I listen to today?"
Mm.
Because although all of those might be available, in fact, I'm sure they are available. It's not quite the same mechanism, is it?
No, it's not really. I don't think it is, at least.
Well, that's the end of that one
Um,
then.
no, I mean, it's. I mean, I'm conflicted about it really because I think, as you say, I think the mechanism of an album per se and everything else, it's always been. That's always been my preference of doing things. Like, I'm a bit of a Luddite at heart when it comes to things like that. But equally, I have discovered some music through Spotify, which I wouldn't have discovered otherwise, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So I'm a bit on the fence. I mean, I've got into some great folk music through Spotify, like people I would never have heard of, like Project Smot, Breerbach, Elephant Sessions, and people like that, which is just completely.
Yeah.
I never would have come across these people, and they're absolutely fantastic. And it's
Yeah.
only from listening to things on Spotify that it kind of suggests things to me, which and I see that as a good thing. But equally, I'm quite against the model. I find it quite what's the right word? I feel like a philistine every time I use it. Every time I log on, I'm trying not to because I know for well it doesn't pay the artists. I mean, I think I made 0.075 pence last year on Spotify.
Actually, I've got some accumulated money that Spotify owe me. I think $65.
Blimey.
That's over a period of about 6 years. I think. I don't think. No, it's and I've no. I mean, it's not just because it's from. It's not actually Spotify who owe it to me. It's from DistroKid, so that's the sort of distribution thing. So it may be some of it's from Spotify, but I can't get it. I can't access it, which is a bit. Yeah. So okay, let's head for song number 3 then, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. So this is a song about death, but from the perspective of the person who's died,
Oh, that's
rather
interesting.
than the
I'll go
perspective
for
of the
that.
person who's lamenting the person who's died. It's so yeah, it's coming from the grave from the perspective of the departed.
Right.
And the funny thing about death is obviously it's horrible. It's a horrible thing, to experience when you're the person losing someone. I don't know what it's like when you're the person dying. I've never experienced it. I mean, I've died on the
No.
inside many times in my job, but that's a different thing entirely. But I think the complicated thing about it is that when somebody loses a loved one and there's unfinished business, like any kind of animosity or things that haven't been sorted, it can get awfully complicated. And that confusion and guilt can last for years,
Yeah.
decades even. And especially in my case, if you don't do anything about that, and it can go for a lot of your adult life. And
Yeah.
so I guess this song's as well as it being from the perspective of the person who died, I think it's also coming from a place of getting to that point of acceptance and
Yeah.
kind of, pardoning the pun, kind of putting all the baggage and putting that to rest, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
it is a tricky one, though, isn't it? As you
yeah,
say.
so this is called "Where Were You," and it's all about that.
Okay.
Where were you, my boy, when I said my final words? Was I in your thoughts and prayers during my heart's final beat? Where were you, my son, when the reaper came for me? Was I in your bedtime dreams when this blanket covered me? Where were you, my child, when my spirit walked the air? Why do you grip yourself with shame just for missing my final day? When you see yourself in the light that I see you, you'll be walking free from your guilt and shame. But keep your curtains closed and your heart in darkness. But I won't rest in peace until I see that dawn arise. The way I failed you, son, will build you in strength to keep that black dog muzzled and love the life you live. Love the life you live. Love the life you live. Love the life you live.
Nice finger picking on that.
Cheers.
Like that. It is. And now that you've said it about the thing about Ralph McTell and various other people, I can see it in your playing now. It's also the way you let the strings ring a lot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think it's underrated that, because some guitars you can just hit a string,
Yeah.
put the guitar down, go make a cup of tea, and when you come back,
It's still going.
if you put the hole to your ear, you can hear it still going.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And I think, well, we should do that more.
Yeah. Well, I'm a great one for if I'm playing in A's, leaving the B and the E string jangling away happily, like sympathetic strings.
By the way, I like the song you opened with, and it reminded me a bit. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Kings of Convenience. I'd recommend having a listen to them. It's
Sorry, what of convenience?
Kings of Convenience.
Kings of Convenience.
Kings of Convenience. They're a Norwegian folky pop duo. They're absolutely fantastic.
Right. That sounds interesting. Yeah, I'll check them out.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that recommendation.
My pleasure.
So you mentioned you've nearly got enough songs for another album. Do you think that when you're doing it, I know you have not done it that often, but do you try and do something that has a theme to it, or are they a collection?
I haven't done. I nearly did for the last one. I nearly made the whole thing about employment, but I thought I stopped that in the end and thought, no, I can't keep writing songs about employment, because the album I did last, the opening two songs are about the same thing from different perspectives, and I thought, okay, that's enough. I've reached that topic now. I've got one more song about that, all about bad managers, but again from their perspective, giving you advice on how to be more like them. And I left that one off because I couldn't really get the right arrangement, but that might go on the next one.
It might.
But no, I don't really go for a specific theme. I go for, well, I mean, with the last one, I only intended to record about 5 songs, and then got them done so fast, I ended up doing a load more, which were just so the last album was half. Most recent album was half Well, actually, no, I'd say 2/3 new songs and the other third older songs which have just slipped through the fold, which I rediscovered, and that's quite nice.
Do you? I suppose it's not quite right. Do you feel more comfortable recording the songs that you've been playing a long time, or are you happy to record ones that are brand new?
I think the process, the way, at least the way I do things, is I've played. By the time I get to a studio, I've played at least in a live setting most of what I'm going to do, so I know roughly how it's going to go.
Yeah.
So to that extent, it's maybe not as new as fresh from a notebook going into the studio, because I find, especially when you're playing the studio time, I find it a bit wasteful to not quite know what you're doing. If that makes sense, I'd rather do all the writing and arranging before I get there.
And also you want to hear how the lyrics sit, because
I
mean,
although
phrasing changes, doesn't it?
although with this one, I did find that essentially it's more like a live recording really. Cause I was just sat in the chair and just recorded every song on the acoustic guitar, a bit like I am now, but hopefully with less mistakes. and it was quite interesting because I drove home straight after doing that, just with a master CD of what I'd done that day, and immediately was coming out with backing vocal parts, 3-part harmonies there and stuff. So I came back the next day and knew exactly what was needed in terms of harmony and stuff. And it's nice to listen back and just think, okay, well that needs some cello there, that needs such and such, and that bit was quite enjoyable.
So you say that needed backing vocals, that needed cello. Presumably you had, if you had those things in mind, you must have had those musicians lined up as well.
Yeah, and I think, I'm fully aware that I can't. Yeah, I think the way I did it was I knew what I had available. I knew what people.
Right.
I knew, if that makes sense, and so maybe the way I arranged it in my head was already knowing in mind what I had,
what was possible
at my disposal, and what was possible. And I've got no delusion of grandeur. I know I'm not, Ralph McTell or anyone that anyone particularly wants to listen to. So it's very much a case of who I knew.
That's fair enough, I think. I think that's a nice way of doing it. Working with friends.
Yeah, I think so. It's good.
I think that in other areas as well. I know my own personal experiences is that there's somebody who's maybe best qualified to do something may not be the easiest person to work with.
Yeah. Well, I learned that myself, because with some of the backing vocals, I just did them myself, and then I realised singing that high, myself singing that high, it sounded absolutely dreadful. I could do it, but why?
Yeah, that's the other question, isn't it?
I listened to it back and just thought, I'm not a huge fan of my own voice in the first place, but I can tolerate it. But that high, I couldn't. I thought, well, if I can't tolerate this, there's no way I'm going to inflict this on whichever poor sod which happens to hear it. What is nice though is I've snuck the closing song of that album onto a playlist, and I've had it on at social events. So I've had some people around with barbecues over the summer, and that song just slipped on. And the fact that no one reacts to it, I take as a huge compliment. Because if they don't know it's you, because I don't tell everyone that I do this. Really, it's a bit of in some regards, a bit of a secret. And so if something of mine slips on, and there are people around who might not know that I do that,
and nobody says, "What the hell's that?"
No one goes, "What the hell is this crap?" So it's all good,
Definitely, yeah. I have to say, and this happened to me a couple of weeks ago. It's happened on I wouldn't say many occasions, but it's happened on a reasonable number of occasions when somebody comes up to me and says, who that second song you did, who sang that originally? And I said, I did. Yeah, but who sang it originally? Well, I did actually. And it's a fantastic feeling. But ironically, it's actually saying that you sound like somebody else. It's a kind of a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way. Yeah.
I try and think about it positively, thinking that they think that it fits with everything else in the world. So I think that's a reasonable way out of it. So, well, would you like to do? I know you've got to dash off. Would you like to do us one more tune?
Yeah, I'll do another tune. Yeah, this is so when I made the album Regent Road, when I got it put onto the online platforms for say and out for public sale and whatnot, I had to have a parental advisory bad language sticker put on it for that. I think it was for the word bitch, and there's another song with the word hell. I'm not sure which word flags it up, but I have to have that flag put on it. And I thought, how ridiculous. I mean,
Who said that?
it just got automatically filtered. I think Amazon didn't like it. I mean, the thing about Amazon is that they flagged that up and said you need to put a warning thing on it. But then I reviewed it myself and it was already out. Right. And I said, this album is fine. I mean, I gave myself a bad review basically just for fun. I thought, I might be the very first recording artist ever to give themselves a really bad review. So I thought I might as well do this. But I put on there as the opening of the review. This album is fine if you listen to it in quantities as small as Amazon's tax contributions. And they let that one go. And I thought, well, I
love it.
And so I thought, well, what's all this about? It's just, it's surely contextually, if I'm saying something wrong, then great, flag it. But the context of a word for the final point doesn't really matter.
I can't believe that they picked out hell.
Well, it might have been bitch. I don't know. Whatever. But
or either.
So I thought I'd write a nice song. It's cheesy as hell. It's an uplifting, feel better song. Yeah. Genuinely, I did write it for a friend who was going through a bit of a bad time at the time, and but I thought, no, I'm going to make it a really nice song, but it's going to be swearing in it, and I thought, shove that. But I quite like this song. It's I played it live a few times. And it's always nice to have people sing along with it at the end, and it's called Further Ahead. And I'm ready when you are, Roland. I like the way this. Yeah.
Oh, like it's all clever stuff, isn't it? Go on.
Yeah, it's pretty technical.
Go on, take it away.
Self-preserving in time was never a crime, and there's nothing to mend. You're divine without end. Though you're feeling like shit, you just have to admit you are loved, don't you know? You're so loved, don't you know? And you're further ahead than you fear. And the end of the tunnel is near. It's with each step you take that your body will wake to the sun on your back and the tension you lack. You're still feeling like shit, but you have to admit you are loved, don't you know? You're so loved, don't you know? And you're further ahead than you fear. The light at the end of the tunnel is near. You're so much further ahead than you fear. The light at the end of the tunnel is near. You're so much further ahead than you fear. The light at the end of the tunnel is near. You're so much further ahead than you fear. The light at the end of the tunnel is near. When you're feeling like shit, you just have to admit you are loved, don't you know? You're so loved. Sing along, Roland. When you're feeling like shit, you just have to admit you are loved, don't you know? You're so loved, don't you know? When you're feeling like shit, You just have to admit you are loved, don't you know? You're so loved, don't you know? When you're feeling like shit, you just have to admit you are loved, don't you know? You're so loved, don't you
Excellent.
Very good, Roland.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Mr. M, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for some of your insights. And if anybody out there wants to hear any more, which I'm sure you will, you can see this is now zooming across the bottom of the screen, saying Mr. Robin Mukherjee, #1, of course, at Bandcamp. And
if anyone remembers that link as well, I'd be impressed.
yeah, it's a bit lengthy, isn't it? Yeah, just look for Regent Road. It's probably easier actually thinking about it, because that's on Bandcamp.
I think Regent Road's song might bring it up. Or bring me up. I don't even know.
Well, you've got time, people out there. You can write it down. Robin Mukherjee. There you go. Cheers, mate. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks very much, Roland. See you soon.
Thanks for your songs. I shall see you soon. Take care, man.
Bye.
Ta-ra. Bye. Great stuff. You're feeling shit and you have to admit. Excellent. What a great line that was. And we've got some comments in here. Oh, question from Eddie. How can Spotify say they've only been going a short time? I think the thing was, Eddie, what they were saying is that when they looked at people's listening habits, that people over the age of 33 tended to listen to stuff that was written prior to that, whereas, they all sort of reverted back to that sort of period of their lives. I think that says it. So that's it from me and my guest for this week. Next week I've got Mr. Martin Ansel on, and I first came across Martin on a thing called Talent is Timeless, which is a thing for songwriters of the age of 50, and I was quite taken by his songs, and particularly because the fact they were all recorded in a vehicle. And he's sitting in a car behind the steering wheel. Apparently, he drives a taxi, so it's what he does when he hasn't got fares, which I think is. As he said, can we? He actually did want to broadcast it from the taxi, but I decided that might cause us a few problems with the internet. But there you go. So tune in next week, and you can find Mr. Martin Ansel. In the meantime, what else is happening this week? A little bit of self-promotion here. On Thursday, I shall be at the Northern Guitars in Leeds doing a gig from 9:15, I think it is. Looking forward to that. Northern Guitars is a cafe, bar, guitar shop, and venue. So I mean, what's not to like? So I should look forward to that. And then where else? On Sunday I shall be in Sheffield, and at the Dorothy. What I've forgotten. Yeah, PAX in Sheffield on Sunday afternoon, and that's it from me from this week. So until we meet again, look after yourselves, have fun, and stay warm. Okay, take care. Bye, everybody.